obviously, Memorial Day is the start of summer. And even though it is, of course, very cold, and it has been this morning, maybe by Sunday or Monday it's going to be warming up like we saw with the 8-day forecast. But before people get into the water, the real question is safety as far as being out. And you guys are both working in Hammonasset. Kevin, do me a favor, say your last name.
Ferrara.
Okay, Ferrara. And Marina, what is your last name?
Annino.
Annino. Okay, so for the first question I got for both of you guys, how can I get these bathing suits? Not so much yours. How about yours?
I'm not sure if you look as good as I do, but you might be able to order it online.
Okay, that's possible. Well, the thing is, and this is one thing that I noticed, oftentimes people will hop into the water. Kids, adults. When you go to like a summer camp, and I was talking to these guys before, I was at a summer camp when I was a little kid, and I hopped into the water. They made me do a swim test before I did, but it's very different for you guys. So the question I have for you, what are some of the safety tips that people can have before they even get to the beach?
Well, first off, you have to realize that alcohol and water do not mix. That's one of the big hazards.
And I'm sure that that's a problem.
Yes, it is a big problem. But also, be careful of diving into the water head first, because we have a natural floor of the ocean, and there should be there could be rocks and holes, divots, just hazards in general.
So we say never dive in head first.
Okay.
Always be cautious of what's under the water. We also advise you to always swim in the designated areas, which are marked off by green flags. So always swim in between the green flags and where a lifeguard can see you.
And now another question. This is something that my mom always said to me when I was a little kid. She said, don't go swimming right after you eat. What's the deal with that? Is that true, or is that just like you could get a little tummy ache and then it would be a bad thing?
Yeah, it's really an old wives' tale. It comes from you could cramp up because most of your energy is going towards digesting that food, but really it's not the worst thing in the world.
Okay. And you mentioned this before, the don't drink and swim thing.
Yeah, alcohol and the beach do not really mix well.
Yeah,
especially swimming.
No, and you know what's funny? No matter how good of a swimmer you are, and I have friends who are lifeguards, they are of the mentality, I don't have to say names specifically, some of them are actually overseas, so they might not necessarily be watching, but they try and go into the water with drinks and stuff like that, and obviously it's of course a bad idea.
Yeah.
Now, another thing too, people I'm sure try and stay as hydrated as they possibly can when they're in the water. Is opening your mouth while you're in the water a good idea with the salt water, or it's not, you shouldn't do it?
You really shouldn't do it. A lot of people associate drowning with people flailing their arms and screaming for help, but it's not really like that. It's more of like a silent action. So it is kind of difficult to spot out people who are drowning, and they don't necessarily should open their mouth for.
Do you get this one often where you see the kids laying with their face down in the water? I actually did a little bit of lifeguarding when I was in high school, and that's what we got. All the kids would always put their face down in the water and they play dead.
Yeah, that's always a pet peeve of ours, because it's kind of like the boy who cried wolf. This time you might be kidding, but that makes it harder for us to decide, well, is this person kidding this time, or what if I come down to save you and somebody else is actually in trouble?
True.
So
what about, I mean, you're wearing one right now. Is it a smart idea to wear life jackets, put your kids in life jackets, or not so much?
It's a smart idea if it's a Coast Guard approved life jacket. Okay. Because there have been some other life jackets that
I'm glad you're mentioning what you're mentioning right now, because I've heard about this, that you can wear, oh, hi, Jeff.
I wanted to jump off the lifeguard tower you were just showing. That's frowned upon, right?
Yes, I'm sure it's probably frowned upon to jump off that thing. Yeah, I mean, they have some lifeguards, and I'm glad you mentioned that point, because they have life jackets that are, what do they have, the things on the back? And you could just float with your face down in the water.
They call that the bubble, and it's very not effective. You'd be surprised about what parents try to pass off as life jackets. I've seen people tie a knot with a noodle around their child and call it a life jacket, and argue with me that it is Coast Guard approved.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Can I ask real quick, because we've got to wrap, riptides, people get caught where they can't get back to shore. What's the tip there?
Hammonasset, it's not a huge deal, but in general, the rule is you remain calm throughout the whole thing, allow the riptide to take you out, and once the current stops, you swim parallel into the shore.
Because you can get out of the riptide if you just keep going in one direction or another, parallel to the shore.
So don't try to fight it. That'll just tire you out, and then you're tired. And
swim away from the sharks, too.
Yeah, I'm not sure that's a big concern, but
that's true.
Thanks a lot, you guys.
Yeah, thanks a lot. It
Thank
was
you for
nice to
having
meet
us on.
you.
It was nice to meet you too.
And I'm so glad that I didn't have to wear a bathing suit today.
How much would you guys pay to go to outer space with Leo DiCaprio? Huh?
A lot of money.
Yeah.
7 million.
All right, 2.7 million.
I wouldn't at all.
All right, he's got that in his trunk shorts there. You know. All right, well, you know what? We're gonna find out how much it would cost you to go to outer space with the king of the world.
Interesting.